Hi, everybody, and welcome to another in the Have You Met series. This time it's a rather, no, it's not a rather strange one because we're interviewing, I'm interviewing Dani Fleming, who just happens to be my wife too. So we'll see how that one ends up as we go through this interview. Hello, Dani.
Lovely.
How are
Hi.
you? So, how long have you been with MA Properties?
Okay, so with MA Properties, I started it as an agent. Gosh, I think about 20 years ago, and I got busier and busier when I started, and then gradually you got your license and you started helping me on a part-time basis on weekends and things like this and helping me out. And I think really you could consider that MA Properties started back then. So probably 18 years, it was the two of us, and then we expanded.
Yeah,
And we
so
brought
how did that change? Because clearly here we are with a relatively large organization now. So we've gone from one person to two people to 20 people.
So I think part of what it is you've got, in this job, focusing on the client is so important, and doing whatever you need to do with the client is so important. But there's a lot of things in the role that we do, whether you're buying or selling, whether you're listing a home or helping someone buy a home, right, where it's not really value add activities. So, and it's some of the back end stuff. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we did is brought on a couple of assistants. We brought on one assistant, mm-hmm, and she was a very OCD personality, and she got all of our systems, all of the processes in place, working with her. And then at that point, she moved into another role, and we brought on another two back-end support folks. And we really focused, before we brought on any agents, we focused on getting everything behind the scenes done, right, well.
Process driven, I guess would be a buzzword.
Yeah, systems right, and yep, process driven. Yep. And then after that point, we different agents. It wasn't actually a focused, we need to bring more agents on, but we would talk to people.
See, they were the right fit for the organization.
Yeah. I know there was one of the agents in our team, Rachel, who she was focused on she was a salesperson in her side sort of thing, and she really was trying to sell you high-end clothing. I knew that wasn't going to work, but she was so persistent and so good at sales. Right. I said to her at one point, I said, why don't you think about real estate? And the rest is history. She's been with us right now for about 6 or 7 years, mm-hmm, and doing, a fantastic agent. So it's been a organic growth. It hasn't been a focused, we need to hire agents.
Right, and that's still the case today?
Yeah.
A more kind of find the right fit.
Yes.
And having found the right fit, bring that person to the organization.
That is so important. Right. Because it feels like a close family. Everyone likes coming to work, and we want that to sort of continue. And if you get someone that doesn't quite gel with the team,
it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
Because we are, as you say, such a small organization. Such a small organization, it really matters to keep the right team dynamics, I guess.
Team dynamics, and we're we have a different type of model than other brokerages, because other brokerages might have 90 agents in the office and 3 back-end support folks. Well, we have I think 10 back-end support folks. I should have counted this up, but I think 10 back-end support folks and 8 agents. So right, the agents can focus on their clients.
Yep.
Focus on the clients, focus on getting what needs to be done. We have a couple of inside sales people who, when we bring a home on the market, they're on the phone letting buyers know about the home that's coming on the market. We're actively trying to improve the process.
So, Dani, tell me what it's like being an agent in MA Properties. You have clearly more than one hat that you wear on a daily basis, but what's it like being an agent in MA Properties?
I think it's fun. I mean, it's fun. We all get on really well and we're all focused on our clients. Um, I think because you know, that, say for instance, if you've got a listing, someone wants to bring their home on the market. We have a huge organization behind it, a lot of support folks that help do that and do it to the best of their abilities. We've got specialists in each role. Whereas if you're in a traditional brokerage, you wear all of those hats. And I remember before we starting the team, I'd sit in front of the computer, I'd have to write a description for a house or organize the floor plan, or all of these things, and I sometimes you have mental blanks. Well, we have people who are specialists at those things, and everyone can jump in. So it allows us to be so much more focused on the client,
Right.
than the things that
So that day
we have
to
do.
day is more client focused as opposed to focused on the back end, organizing if nothing else.
Absolutely.
The back end aspect of it, allowing the agents to focus very much on what the client's needs are.
Yeah, and things like if you're buying a home, you've got the inspectors that we all use time and time again. We've got attorneys that we recommend time and time again. We've got different contractors that we recommend time and time again. So it means that if we need anything as an agent in our day-to-day business, we know who to call. We
Right.
know, and we're so tightly knit as a group, as a team. Hey, I need this, and everyone just jumps in and sort of says, this is who you need to call, and things like that. So as an agent, life is an awful lot easier for the agent if they're focused on their clients in our
And I'll
team.
get sidetracked with
Yeah.
other stuff.
And that's the
so
part
use
that,
the term.
and that's the part that I like most, because to me, why I do what I do is I like interacting with people and like interacting with clients, because when you think about it, the whole purpose of, or the whole focus of what we should be doing is to advance our clients' future.
Right.
And buying or selling a home is their most expensive asset that they're ever going to own. It's got to be done carefully, and it's got to be done correctly, and it's got to be done to the best of your ability. So that allows us, the structure of how we do that allows us to do that.
And so on a day-to-day basis, is that where you spend most of your time interacting with clients?
Yep.
Market analysis, that aspect of the
Absolutely.
business.
Giving people advice.
Right.
I've talked people out of buying homes because it's the wrong home. It's not just to me, it's not just a transaction. It's a relationship for life. If I'm doing the right thing by someone, then in 5 years' time, when they need to do something, they'll call me, or they'll recommend me to their friends, and it's a relationship basis. So you can't. I never ever will do anything wrong by a client, and that includes selling the wrong home,
Right.
for helping them buy the wrong home, or doing less than my best
Yep.
in selling their home.
Because we always talk about transactions, but what you're saying here is that yes, there's a transaction underneath it, but
Yep.
what it's all about, that relationship,
Yeah.
that long-term relationship, the advice you give them
Yep.
over the years while they're living in their home, so that when they
Yeah.
come to, so very much a long-term relationship as opposed to a transaction by transaction.
Well, it's funny because there was a home that we sold last year that I had gone into their home about 5 years earlier because they wanted to paint the inside of their home. They knew they weren't going to sell anytime soon, but they sort of said, well, one day we will sell. What colours should we paint? And sure enough, 5 years later, we bought their home on the market. We just had to do little touch-ups of the paint.
Right.
But it was the paint was already the right colours for the buyers. And so and there was a lot of interaction with them in between times. So it's not, we're not sort of looking at people, well, I only want to talk to you for a month.
Right.
No, it's
The month
a
before
long,
you bring on the market.
no, it's a long-term relationship. And part of what we do and why we do it that way is real estate, there's a lot of bad actors in real estate. A lot of bad actors. And to me, integrity and ethical behavior, that's so important. We will never, ever break that. Never, ever break that.
Right.
Because your reputation is your reputation is your reputation. And if you lose it, it's really difficult to get back.
Hard to get back.
And it's the sort of thing you've got to do the right thing by people. That's a credo that I've always had from when I was a little kid. You just got to do the right thing by people. But you know, part of what we do is masterclasses regularly as well. You know, talking about being an agent. Well, the whole reason that we do these masterclasses is we know that sometimes consumers or people who are thinking of buying or selling are getting the wrong information. So we're not trying to do this, we're trying to do these masterclasses to just educate folks. Just,
right.
You know.
Back to that core
we're
value
not,
of education, not sales.
Yeah,
Right.
we're not hard sell. We're
Yep.
not going to hard sell people. And you know, a market analysis, yes, it takes a bit of work to do for those, but that's important information for people to have. So
Right.
happy to do it whenever someone wants to know how much is my house worth. I'm not going to guess. I'm going to do a market analysis on
Yep.
it. But it's not expecting that you're going to sell in a month's time. It could be you thinking about it in 5 years' time, and you're just trying to work out, you know, where you're going to head to there. Yeah, that's it.
You clearly have lots of hats, but what do you like doing in real estate on a day-to-day basis? What are the things that kind of, oh, I really enjoyed doing that? What are those things?
I like visiting with people.
Choosing paint colors.
Well, that's a really cool, I really like that. No, I like visiting people, or I like getting on the phone and chatting with people.
Right.
You know, often people have questions, and just being able to sort of provide that information and not have any agenda behind it.
Yep.
You know, I'm a people person, as well as it's funny because I'm analytical as well.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's all about being a people person, but
Yeah.
if all you're going to do is talk on the phone with the market's hot.
yeah, no, yeah, don't
Clearly
do
needs
that.
more to that, though. So there's more to it than just being a people person.
Yeah, I'm analytical
More to you
as
than being a
well.
people
I
person.
mean, my background is I was in the IT industry for a long time, and my last role in IT was a deputy CIO for a large company down in the Maryland area. And then I was stale. I moved up to Massachusetts. And real estate, I bought my first house when I was 20 in Australia. And from there, I've sort of bought and sold houses. So I thought, I wonder what real estate would be like to get into. And I love it.
Right.
Best thing I could have done.
Never look back.
No, I never looked back because I get to help people. I get to help people
Right.
with the largest financial investment that they're going to make, and
So you say
that feels really good.
Right. You say you bought your first house in Australia. So how come you're in the US? How did that happen? What's your story? Many people have a story as to how they ended up here. So what's your story on how you ended up in the US?
I glibly answer that it was a midlife crisis.
Okay.
But I was divorced, and I had 3 small children, and I always wanted to work overseas, and I thought unless I make it happen, it's not going to happen. So I moved over to the DC area with a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Best thing I could have done. It was hard.
I was going to say that
was hard.
That doesn't sound particularly easy. Just
It was
putting that out there,
hard
but there
to
we go.
start with until I got to know how the US worked. It was hard.
Right.
But again, best thing I could have done. Best thing I could have done. And then I extended my IT career in the DC area, and then when I moved up to Massachusetts, I
Moved into real estate.
moved into real estate. Yeah, about 20 odd years ago.
Wow. So you said you were always interested in real estate. Did you buy and sell a lot before you moved into real estate?
Yes, I did.
You said in Australia you bought and sold, and over here as well?
Yes. In fact, when we, because he's my husband, when we bought our last house in Lexington, the longest I'd ever lived in a house before that was 4 years. And that was the house in DC that,
Right.
so I bought and sold a lot. Because to me, housing is a stepping stone. You know, you own a
housing
home
ladder,
here,
if
you
you like.
improve it, yes, and you sell it, and then you can, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I remember.
So it was an easy transition from, at least you knew something around about the house buying process, having done it so often. Although, as I understand it, it's completely different in Australia
Oh, yeah.
than it is in the US, as
Yes.
it certainly is in the UK, where I'm originally from. It's
Yeah.
totally different to the US as well.
But it's a better system here. It's actually a better system, in my opinion, with the fact that you've got a buyer's agent who represents you,
Right.
and you've got a listing agent that represents you in Australia. And I don't know what it is in the UK, but in Australia, there's one agent that sells the home, and that agent works with buyers as well. There's some buyer representation starting to come in, but it's not common.
Not
No.
as much as we have in
nowhere,
the US right now.
Nowhere near a common activity. So yeah, so that's how that transpired.
So transitioning a little bit away from real estate then, so tell us a little bit about you. What do you like to do outside real estate?
Okay, that's an interesting one. I like reading. I love the advent of Kindles and iPads, where I could continually, I have multiple books on the iPad, on the device all the time. So when I finish one book, I'm straight into the next one. I used to remember. Oh yeah, no. If you asked me what the name of the book was I just finished,
No idea.
no idea. But it was funny because often I'd be flying the kids back to Australia, you know, to go and visit their dad and all of this sort of stuff, and I'd have to take 3 books with me on the plane because
Yep.
I'd always be fearful of finishing a book and not having something else
And
to
it's
read.
a long way to Australia.
Yes, so
As somebody who's been there a few times, it's a long way to Australia.
so I love reading.
Okay.
I used to have horses. I don't have them anymore. I did
Garden's not
really
big
like
enough
that.
in
No,
Lexington?
garden's not big enough. I love sitting beside the pool or the beach. I like scuba diving. You got me into that. Love that. But I'm one of these divers who's a warm water and pretty fishies diver.
There's not much wrong with that kind of diving as well,
Yeah,
actually, to be
yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
That can be fun sometimes.
I'm not interested in going in currents and cold water and sharks
Right.
and big critters. I just want to look at the pretty fishies, and I could just float and just watch a little outcrop of coral and fish interact. I could do that for I can't do it for hours
but
because you
certainly for
can't do
minutes
that.
anyway, right, yeah.
Yes, I could be there for a long time.
So we've talked a lot about the company, how you got here, all of that. But what about the future? So what happens next?
I am having such a nice time with what I'm doing because I interact with people all the time, and we've got a really good team behind us. I can't see myself doing anything different than this. I do want to get more time in on the beach.
Right. That would be nice.
Not that I like to lie in the sand or swim in the sea, but I like just being able to watch water.
Right.
I like just being able to it's calming, it's soothing. Growing up in Australia is a lot of the population centres are around the coastlines. And
The
so
only population centres, apart from Alice, I guess, is in the middle. But
yeah, so I miss having the sea close by.
Yep.
But no, I'm good with what I'm doing right now. I really am.
Cool. Well, thank you for have you met. Finishing on a positive note anyway.
Did I surprise you with any
No,
of
I
my
don't
answers?
think so. I don't think so. I don't think I did. So thanks for that. And the Have You Met with Dani Fleming from MA Properties.